What's going on, everyone? It's Tay, aka Slay, and what we're gonna do is go back into time today. Not that far back into time. We're only gonna go about 2 years. What I want to talk to you guys about today is the worst breakup of my life and the YouTuber who helped me go through it. Now, she still has her channel up, but she is no longer producing content. Her channel's name was BeauTea with Ashlee. She's still active on social media though. And I wanted to make this video in appreciation of her and to let her know that she has made a huge impact on my life. So this is basically a thank you to her and inspiration and encouragement for whoever may be going through something similar. So what we have to do is start at the beginning. In October of 2016, a person that I went to high school with commented on a post of mine. Now, I'd been following him on Facebook for a while, but he never commented, never liked a post. So I just thought, well, he is just one of those people that has the Facebook to keep in contact with people, doesn't really interact. Fine. So the post in question was one I had written when I was feeling very bad about myself. I was in a place where my self-esteem was struggling. I had been single for 3 years and I was looking around at everybody in my life, and I had noticed that all of my previous boyfriends were either married now or in long-term relationships. So I wrote on my wall, every guy I've been with is either married or in a long-term relationship. I'm starting to wonder if I was the problem. Which I thought was a valid question, because like, if everybody else has moved on so easily, I'm the common denominator in the situation. What have I been doing wrong? And this person, we'll call him Billy, he commented saying, "You're a wonderful person. There's nothing wrong with you. Stop it." That was the gist of it. And something inside me said, send him a thank you. So I did. And we talked that night. I sent him another message the next morning because I had no impulse control. And remember a couple videos ago where I said I realized that I had been the pursuer in most of my relationships? That was certainly true here. I kept sending messages whenever I got the urge to talk to him, basically. And this continued for about a month and a half, and we got to the point where we really started sharing with each other. We started talking about what had happened between high school graduation and now, trying to piece together the things that I had heard from mutual friends, stories he had heard about me, things like that. And it got to the point where we were sharing our deepest, darkest secrets with each other. And at the end of that conversation, he said, "I feel like I want to tell you that I love you." And not gonna lie, I had been feeling a similar way. So I said, "I feel like I want to say it too. Is it all right if I do?" And we still weren't officially a couple, but we started saying "I love you" to each other. We didn't become a couple until December 18th of 2016. And as I stated before, December of 2017, my mother passed. Before that, September of 2017, my biological mother, for those of you who don't know, I am adopted. I did have a relationship with my biological mother. I met her in 2009 and was in contact with her up until the point of her death in 2017, September of 2017. And when I would vent to my then boyfriend, I was like, she was so young. My biological mother died when she was in her 50s. I don't even think she was mid 50s. I think she was early 50s. And I was like, this isn't fair. To lose someone so young who was trying to turn around her life. She was on a good path. She should have had the opportunity to go forward. This isn't fair. And he said, "Life's not fair, sweetheart. I have friends that didn't get to see 30. As true as that is, that's not what you say to someone who's grieving. Pro tip. Don't tell somebody who was lost, the person that brought them into the world, that they have a relationship with, that life's not fair, that's just the way it is. That's not how you support someone that you say you love. And we had a conversation about it. And December of 2017, my adoptive mother passed, and I reached out to him again. I don't know why. That actually should have been the end of it. When I got that response from when my biological mother died, I should have ended it right there, because that was a glowing neon sign saying this person is not there for you. And it was the same when my mother died. He was nowhere to be found. I would text him saying, babe, I need you. I know that you're having a similar struggle with depression, but I just really need your support right now. Any communication. I was grasping, clawing at him. I needed him. Now, a detail that I left out, we were a long distance relationship for most of our relationship. When we reconnected, he was in the Army and was stationed in South Korea. When my mother died, he was back in the States and he was stationed in Kansas. I was still in New York City. I had thought that we were eventually going to talk about him getting out of the Army, us figuring out where we wanted to live, because he had a son and he said he wanted to stay on the East Coast to be close to his son. Put a pin in that. And that was going to be, listen, this man talked about marrying me more than I did, and all I wanted to do was marry this man. I thought he was my person, and he brought it up more than I did, which shocked me. And he was nowhere to be found, but I kept trying to make it work. I actually was in therapy at this time, and the therapist I had at the time, I was at the same practice, and I had 3 therapists at the same practice. One left because she was still in school and she was working to get her hours in, but it had become too much. So she left the practice. My next therapist, the one that was helping me through the death of my mom, she was more of a life coach. And I really didn't like her, and especially don't like her now, because when I told her I was thinking about leaving Billy, something in my gut told me that it was time to end it. And I said, I think it's time to leave. He's not there for me. There was actually a time where I had worn a rubber band around my wrist, and every time I wanted to reach out to him, I'd snap it, because I wanted to see how long it would take him to reach out to me. And you shouldn't have to do that in a relationship. If you two know that you love each other and support each other and are really trying to build a life together, you shouldn't have to be like, well, I wonder how long it'll be before my boyfriend reaches out to me. From Tuesday to Tuesday, I heard nothing from him. There was a time where my phone died and I heard nothing from him. I didn't get any messages, nothing. You know, babe, where are you? What's going on? How are you doing? Nothing. On Christmas and New Year's, all I got was, Merry Christmas, baby, I love you. Happy New Year, baby, I love you. No, how are you doing? How's your family doing? Nothing about how I'm coping with the loss of my mother, nothing. And it was after that week-long period of hearing nothing from him, no contact, no text messages, no Facebook messages, no emails, nothing, no phone calls. I said, I should probably end it. So my therapist said, wait till spring. You just lost your mother. Ending this relationship will just set you back, because it'll be too much change in such a short period of time. I shouldn't have listened to her. I should have ended it. It would have saved me a world of hurt, because I was still trying to save this relationship. I suggested him coming out to see me Valentine's Day weekend, because that's also President's Day weekend, and he was off of work and I was off of work. So I'm like, I'll pay for your flight from Kansas to New York City, and you can spend those 4 days with me. And I booked the flight. The day before Valentine's Day, he calls me and tells me that he can't make it because of the mounting pressure between the United States and the Middle East and the conflict that seems to be brewing, they want to run some extra exercises, and all of the passes for that weekend had been revoked. So I called the airline trying to see if I can cancel the flight, get my money back. And they said that they could do that, but they would need to get in touch with his chain of command to verify that he couldn't use this ticket. So I told him, I gave him the number. He called me and told me that he had talked to them and that they will allow us to use that ticket as a credit for another trip. So I said, fine. I asked him if we could Skype, if we could talk on the phone, anything for Valentine's Day. And he said Friday and Saturday he'll be unreachable because he'll be out in the field, but Sunday he'll be able to talk to me. Sunday I heard nothing from him at all. So with tears in my eyes, I sent him a text saying, I know you were really busy this weekend. See, I was way too accommodating. But I said, I know you were really busy this weekend and this shit is really heavy, so I just want to tell you that I love you and I hope I talk to you tomorrow. Not 10 minutes after I send that text, do I get a call from him? And he sounds very sheepish. And I said, what's going on? The first thing he says to me is, I've been lying to you. And I was like, what do you mean? The long and the short of it is that he said he was in love with two women. He was in love with me and another woman, and that he's been cheating on me almost the entirety of our relationship. He says since he got back to the States, he's been cheating on me. He used his job in the Army as a cover and told me things like I shouldn't tag him in pictures because he was going through a divorce, and if the Army sees that there's evidence of another relationship, he could get in trouble for that. And I knew that was true because I have a lot of friends in the military and my father was in the Army, so I was like, okay, fine. Now I know he did that. He told me that so that he could continue to appear single on social media. But then he took me to meet his family after he got back. We spent a week in Florida with his family in July of 2017. And here's the worst of it. My mother was terminally ill. And when she told me she was terminally ill, the one prayer that I had was that she live long enough to meet the man that I was going to marry. The last time I saw my mother alive was July 31st, 2017. That was my mother's 64th birthday. She made Billy promise that he would take care of me. She said, promise me you're going to take care of her. If you don't, I will haunt you for the rest of your days. And he said, you have nothing to worry about. I promise I'm going to take care of her. So not only did he lie to me, he lied to a dying woman. And I asked why he would talk about marrying me. Why didn't he just let me go? That was the main question I had. I was like, why didn't you just let me go? If you didn't want me, why didn't you just let me go? He had no answer. So I ended it right then and there. Just cut it off. I don't need this. Because I'd always said, if a man cheats on me, that's it. You don't get a second chance. I know it's difficult when you're married and if there are kids involved, it's not so easy to walk away, but I didn't have that complication. I was out. I had watched my father cheat on my mother. According to my mother, it happened several times. I wasn't going to give him a pass. I wasn't going to be that woman. You're one and done is my stance on cheating. So I turned to YouTube in an effort to forget the pain I was in, because this happened Valentine's Day weekend 2018. My mother had just died in December of 2018. So in a 2-month period, actually within a 6-month period, I had lost both of the women that had made me the woman I am, and the man that I thought I was going to marry. So I turned to YouTube. And at this time, Ashlee is reporting on drama. She was a drama channel, also a beauty channel. And she is going through something similar. I'm pretty sure all of those videos are down now, but she was going through a similar situation and sharing it with her viewers. And the one video that really shook me was when she was going back and talking about her own family situation. Her family, and then her mother and her father, her brother and sister, and things like that. So her family and the family she came from. And I'm not going to get into it, that's not my story to tell. But the main point of that video was forgiveness. She said in a conversation with her mother had told her, I have to forgive. Because if I don't, I will not be able to move forward with my life. I cannot carry that hurt and resentment in my heart. So I'm choosing to forgive. And Ashlee said the same thing. She's like, I'm looking at what this person did to me, and I realize that I have to forgive. Because if I hold on to this, it's going to do nothing for me, and it could possibly destroy me. And I know I have the right to be happy. I have the right to have a full, beautiful life. And she was pregnant with a child when this was happening, the child that she had worked so hard to have. And she was like, I owe it to this child to give her my best. So I'm choosing to forgive. And I was in tears because I knew she was right. I said, I have to forgive my ex because I see what carrying around hurt and hatred and bitterness and resentment does to somebody. I saw it with my mother. My mother had such a hard life, and she had been in therapy, but she never allowed herself to feel joy. She never allowed herself to heal. She was bitter and angry, and I could see how it permeated every aspect of her life. So with the help of Ashlee's video, I was like, I refuse to let this make me bitter. I refuse to let this color how I live my life, how I view men, how I treat potential partners. I refuse to give up and let this turn my heart to stone. I know I have to forgive him. A lot of people have the misconception about forgiveness that it's for the other person. It's not. Forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is not letting someone off the hook. Forgiveness is saying, I am no longer allowing the hurt that you've caused me, your transgression against me, to affect me. I am choosing to no longer allow you to make me bitter, angry, resentful. The power that you have had over me because I was holding on to this has been reclaimed by me. That is what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is also not allowing somebody else to come back into your life. If you choose to, that's fine, that's your choice. But that's not what it always means. I forgave my ex, but I don't talk to him. I did get my money back from my ex for that flight that I paid. It was $638. And the girl that he was with, that he chose because I left, made him give that money back to me because he had done her wrong. So she's like, nope, I'm gonna make you pay for this, give her back her money. And after watching Ashlee's video, I should have said this before that bit, I sent him an email. I didn't have to. I could have forgiven him and not told him, but I felt compelled to. And I told him that I know that he hurt me. He knows that he hurt me. But I'm choosing to no longer allow it to affect me. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to eat that $638. It's gone. I don't care if I never see it again. And he told me that he got that email, he read it, and he figured he didn't have to pay me. It's when he started screwing around on the other girl, who, by the way, was in an open marriage. So I'm guessing they were part of a throuple, and there was an agreement that, you know, we tell each other about our other partners, and he wasn't doing that. He was keeping his other partners to himself, and she was hurt by that. And he, from what I can gather, she's still supporting him. And what happened with me was me dodging not a bullet but a cannonball, because in his email to me after he paid me my money, was that he was going to pay me back sooner. He had promised her that he was going to pay me back, but he had gambling debts that he had to pay and other payments that he had to make. And I'm like, oh, he still has a gambling addiction. I don't need that. Thanks. I'm glad I washed my hands of that. And he tried to have a conversation with me. I was like, nope, thank you. That was it. This person has no right to be in my life. I don't hate him. I did for a very long time. Even if you choose to forgive somebody, it's not automatic. Forgiveness is a choice you have to make every single day. You have to, when you feel those feelings, feel them in their entirety. But you have to say, I've chosen to forgive this person. I'm letting go and I'm moving on. And I wouldn't have gotten to that place. I think I would have gotten to it eventually, but I don't think I would have gotten to it had I not watched Ashlee's video while I was getting ready for work. And like I said, I cried. I was in my shower weeping because I knew I had to let go. I didn't want to become that bitter Betty. I didn't want to become that woman who looks at couples and goes, ugh, happy couples make me sick. I didn't want to become that person. Actually, funny little anecdote. I felt myself starting to become that person about a year ago. Like, ugh, all men are the same, all men are this. And I put that on Facebook. I was like, I don't want to become this woman that says those things. I don't want to become the woman that bashes men every chance I get because one hurt me. And my friend Mike sent me a link to the song from my crazy ex-girlfriend, Let's Generalize About Men. I had that song on repeat for 3 days. I love that song. I actually just played it a couple of days ago and danced around my room to it. And that's pretty much what stopped me from becoming that woman. I love that song so much. But I was so thankful, and I'm still thankful, that Ashlee shared her hurt, her pain, and what she was going through, and the decisions that she made for herself and her unborn daughter at the time. And it gave me the courage to do the same. And honestly, I believe with my whole heart that I would not be where I am had I not forgiven, had I let it eat me alive, had I let it destroy my hope. I wouldn't be sitting here. I would have given up, and I would have let it eat me alive. So I don't know if she'll ever see this. I'm going to try to tag her. And I've told her this before, but I wanted to say yet again, thank you. Thank you for helping me get through the worst breakup of my life. Without you, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did, as soon as I did. And my life is better for it. If you are going through heartbreak and heartache right now, and if you feel alone, not just because of the situation, if the situation is making you feel even more lonely because you're going through heartbreak and heartache, it's important to realize that if somebody hurt you, it's not about you. When the other woman, and I hate calling her that because clearly I was the other woman, but when she called me to tell me that she was going to make him pay me back because he was doing the same thing to her, that's when I realized that it's not about me. That was in June of 2018. She was like, that's when I realized it had nothing to do with me. He was trying to fill a void with sex through validation from other women. That's why he couldn't control himself. It had nothing to do with me. And that made it easier to stay in that place of, okay, I can move on. I can keep moving forward. It's been a hard road. Like I said, the 2-year anniversary of the breakup was in February, and it was a rough one because it was also Mercury retrograde. But there were lessons that I learned through that, and it truly did change my perspective for the better. And I've grown so much because of it. But as I was saying, if you are going through heartbreak, please know if somebody hurt you, it had nothing to do with you. You did the absolute best you could with the knowledge you had. You are not wrong. You are not bad. You are worthy. You are worthy of the love that you seek. And even if it's not right in front of you, you have to keep believing that it's going to show up one day. Just want to jump in here and give a little update on Ashlee. Like I said, I still follow her on Twitter and on Instagram. She is living her best life right now. She has an adorable baby girl. One of the most adorable babies I've ever seen. Very stylish and very chic as well. And she's in a brand new relationship. This man treats her the way she deserves to be treated. She's so happy. She's blossoming. And we love to see it. It's one of the many examples of women coming through something similar to me that gives me hope that someday I may have to do a meet my boyfriend video. Okay, back to the video. There have been times where it's been very hard for me to believe that it'll happen for me. Certainly right now, because I can't go out and meet anybody, but there have been times where I've said, you know, it's just not gonna happen. I'm done. There's no point in hoping. Nope, I don't care. And situations like this, being so far away from the people that I love, I can't lie to myself. I truly do want a spouse. I want a family of my own. And I believe that when the time is right, he will show up because I will be in a better place to receive my partner. And I will be prepared to be the best partner I can. And I believe I was the best partner I could be for my ex, but he wasn't ready to receive that. As a good friend on Facebook said, he missed his blessing. Please forgive. It's the best thing that you can do for yourself. Do what it takes to heal, whether that's seeking help. I was in therapy when this breakup happened, so I'm thankful for that. If it gets to the point where you feel you can't get over it, don't be afraid to talk to a professional. There's no shame in that. Remember who you are. You were worthy before that person, you were worthy during that relationship, and you are worthy now. Reconnect with yourself and do the things that bring you joy, and joy will return to you. You owe it to yourself to allow yourself the space to heal. And that's where I'm going to end it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, all of those good things. I know there are a million videos you could have watched today. I humbly thank you for coming to Slay. Bye, guys.